Picture this for a second. You are doing 150 miles an hour. You are inches, literal inches, away from another car, and you're not on a wide open highway. You're approaching one of the most notorious corners in North American motorsport, the kink at Road America. You don't lift, you don't blink, and somehow the guy next to you doesn't either.
That is the nightmare scenario for 99% of drivers. In the real world, that's how you end up in the fence. In sim racing, that's usually how you end up in a massive wreck that takes out half the field.
Exactly. But what we saw last night, that wasn't a wreck. That was art. Welcome back, everyone. We are breaking down what is already being called a statement night for the Freedom Motorsport Alliance. We are talking about the Marrs Hardwood GT3 Series at Road America, and if you missed this race, you missed a masterclass.
It really was. You know, we talk a lot about esports and sim racing, and sometimes people who aren't deep in the scene think it's just video games. They think it's Mario Kart with better graphics. But when you look at the data coming out of this FMA race at Road America, the level of precision is terrifying.
Terrifying is the right word. Let's start at the top. Travis Ruberto. The man was a machine. The race report says he led 20 laps and won the thing, but it's the lap times that blew my mind. He was averaging a 2:07.
A 2:07 average at Road America is elite pace, but what's more impressive is the consistency. To hit that number lap after lap, you have to be hitting your braking markers within inches every single time. And remember, Road America is over 4 miles long. It's not a short track. It's long, it's flowing, and it eats tires.
And he's doing this in the Lamborghini Huracán GT3 EVO. Now, I know you've looked into the specs of that car. Why was the Lambo the weapon of choice for this kind of dominance?
The Huracán EVO is an interesting beast in the current GT3 meta. It's mid-engine, obviously, running that screaming V10, but its biggest strength is its front-end bite. It's incredibly eager to rotate. At a track like Road America, you have these heavy braking zones, like Turn 5 or Canada Corner, where you have to get the nose in, but then you also have the carousel, which is this endless scrubbing right-hander.
The carousel is brutal. You're in it for what feels like a week.
Right, and if your car has understeer, the carousel will destroy your front left tire. The Lamborghini, generally speaking, rotates so well that you don't have to fight it as much. Ruberto clearly had that car dialed in. He wasn't just fast, he was comfortable, and in endurance racing, or even long sprint races like this, comfort equals consistency.
Okay, so Ruberto is out front being a metronome, but the story of the night wasn't just him driving away. It was this battle we alluded to in the open, the duel with Brock Morris. The FMA race report is calling it one of the cleanest, most intense battles in league history. What makes a battle clean at that speed?
Trust. It's pure trust. Road America is a high-speed track. It's known as the National Park of Speed for a reason. You're spending a lot of time in 5th and 6th gear. When you go side by side through a section like the kink or the run down to Canada Corner, you are relying entirely on the other driver to leave you exactly one car's width of space. Not a car and a half, just one.
And that's where the skill gap shows, doesn't it? In a public lobby, if you see someone alongside you entering a braking zone, you panic. You brake early or you turn in too late. But these guys, they were wheel to wheel through sectors that are barely wide enough for one car.
And that's the mental aspect of sim racing that people underestimate. It's the processing speed. Ruberto and Morris aren't just looking at the track, they're calculating the other car's trajectory, their tire grip, and the closing speed, all in milliseconds. The fact that they didn't touch, that neither driver gave an inch but also didn't cross the line, is a testament to the caliber of the FMA grid. It creates this immense tension where you're just waiting for the snap, but it never comes.
It's like watching two fighter pilots dogfighting in a canyon. But let's look further down the field, because Ruberto wasn't the only one putting on a show. We had some massive recovery drives. Graham Jacobson.
From 6th to 2nd.
In the Porsche 911 GT3R. Now, we know the Porsche is a different animal compared to the Lamborghini. How does a driver take that car and carve through traffic like that?
The Porsche 992 GT3R is the traction king. Because the engine is in the back, well, rear biased, it sits over those rear tires. When you come out of a slow corner, like Turn 5 or Turn 8, you can get on the power so much earlier than the front-engined or even some mid-engine cars.
So he's winning the race on exit.
Exactly. Jacobson likely used that traction to set up moves. He'd get a better run off the corner, catch the draft on those long Road America straights, and make the pass into the braking zone. But the Porsche has a downside. It can be nervous. It wants to kill you if you lift off the throttle at the wrong time. So climbing from 6th to 2nd means Jacobson was managing that rear instability while aggressively overtaking. That is a high-wire act.
We also have to shout out Aleksandar Zugic, who came from 9th to finish on the podium in 3rd. But the climb that really caught my eye and the eye of the race stewards was Zachary Tankersley. He started 26th, basically the parking lot, and he finished 7th.
In the Corvette Z06 GT3.R.
The new Corvette, the mid-engined one.
Yes, and that's a crucial detail. The old Corvettes were front-engine torque monsters. They were sledgehammers. This new Z06 GT3.R is a scalpel. It's mid-engine now, so it handles much more like a Ferrari or a McLaren. It has that agility.
So for Tankersley to slice through 19 cars, that's not just the car, that's patience, right? You don't pass 19 cars on lap 1.
No, and at Road America, trying to win the race on lap 1 usually ends your race on lap 1. To go from 26th to 7th, you have to be an opportunist. You have to watch the battles ahead of you, see where drivers are overdriving, and just slip past. It's about rhythm. He wasn't fighting the track, he was flowing with it. That Corvette platform is very stable on the brakes, which probably helped him dive down the inside of people into Canada corner.
I want to circle back to the track itself because Road America feels like a character in this story. The race report mentions that the track claimed several drivers. What is it about this place that punishes mistakes so hard? It looks wide on TV.
It looks wide, but the margins are razor thin. It's an old school track. There isn't miles of paved runoff everywhere like you see at modern F1 circuits. If you drop a wheel off at the exit of the kink, you are hitting a concrete wall. If you lock up into turn 12, you are in the gravel trap.
There's no reset button.
Exactly. And the speeds are so high, you're carrying so much energy that when things go wrong, they go wrong instantly. That's why the Ruberto Morris duel was so special. They were dancing on the edge of that disaster for laps at a time. It requires a level of respect that you just don't see in casual gaming.
That word respect, it keeps coming up with the Freedom Motorsport Alliance. We saw Anthony Barranco, Frank Johnson, Brian Scott. These guys were running nose to tail just behind the podium. It seems like the culture of the FMA is really what allows this kind of racing to happen.
It is. In sim racing, the netcode, the internet connection, can sometimes be an excuse for sloppy driving. People say, oh, I lagged, or I didn't think I was that close. But in a league like FMA, the drivers take pride in their racecraft. They treat the virtual cars like they cost $500,000. When you drive with that mindset, the racing transforms. It stops being a game and starts being a sport.
And that's why we're talking about it, because when you strip away the fact that they aren't smelling gasoline, the psychology is identical. The pressure Ruberto felt leading those 20 laps, that was real adrenaline. The frustration Jacobson felt trying to catch him, real frustration.
And the satisfaction of that win is real. Ruberto didn't just win a race, he conquered a field of drivers who were all pushing to the absolute limit. You look at the names in the midfield, Jamie MacArthur, Caio Girassi, Brandon Banks. These aren't slow drivers. They were fighting tooth and nail just to stay in the hunt. To gap that field by running 207s is a statement.
It's a statement that the FMA is raising the bar. We're seeing a convergence where the simulation is getting so good and the drivers are getting so professional that the stories are just as compelling as anything on a Sunday afternoon on TV.
Absolutely. And with cars like the new Corvette Z06 GT3.R and the 992 Porsche mixing it up with the established players, like the Lamborghini, the mechanical variety makes the strategy so deep. We didn't even touch on fuel strategy or tire conservation, but you know that played a role in how Jacobson had the tires left to charge at the end.
It's layers upon layers. So the Marrs Hardwood GT3 Series leaves Road America with Travis Ruberto on top, but the real winner here might be the fans who got to watch that duel. It's one for the history books.
A classic. I just hope the rest of the season can live up to it, because that was a high bar to set.
Knowing this grid, I think they'll find a way. That's all the time we have for this breakdown. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the physics and psychology of the FMA, do a friend a favor and send them this episode. It's the best way to help people find these stories.